Hello, my name is Omar, and I'm one of Houston Youth Symphony's teachers, and I'm going to be giving you guys some tips that you will hopefully find helpful to play this excerpt. That was the Rimsky-Korsakov Dance of the Clowns excerpt for the Sinfonia audition. And firstly, it's fast, right? It's very fast, which can be very overwhelming. Like any excerpt, I always recommend listening to recordings, to professional recordings. A lot of the recordings do go a little faster than these tempo markings that you have here. However, it's always better to play excerpts a little slower and more accurately than attempting to play it fast because that's what you think people want to hear. Yeah, playing faster, sometimes can make you seem like you know it better, but it might just be better to do it a little slower if you can do it more accurately. So that being said, when you're playing anything quickly, you want to use smaller motions from both of your hands. So what I mean by that, you want to use more wrist and fingers than forearms here. What will happen is that either one, you will drag, you won't be able to keep up the tempo, or two, it's just not going to be as clear, or three, you will get tired. You'll get very, very tired with using all of your arm motion, right? So I don't know if you guys were able to tell when I was playing this, I was mostly using or attempting to use more of my wrist and fingers, okay? And I think that's a little easier, and it's not as taxing on the body when playing quicker passages. And now for the left hand, very similar thing. You want to keep your fingers nice and close to the fingerboard so that you're not raising and having to slam them down from a huge distance, because again, maybe your right hand is going to be a little faster and your left hand's not going to be able to keep up, and it's going to make it just sound messy. Starting this, you have the accent on B2, 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 right? And then it switches to B1. So you have to be ready to make that switch. And when it comes to these string crossings in the 5th, 6th bar, I use an open D sometimes, and I think it's easier when you do it towards the middle, right? String crossings tend to be a little harder near the frog, so I like to be near the middle. And now, very crucial, and I know we've all heard this, practice slowly, but something that helped me when people kept telling me to practice slowly was practicing it slowly the same way that you're going to perform it at tempo. Now, what I mean by that is that, yeah, we might be able to play it, the notes and the rhythm, slowly, but what we tend to do, or at least what I did, I wouldn't use the correct amount of bow that I would be using at full speed, right? For example, measure 9. That's where the runs start, right? And they start building up. But if we practice using a lot of bow on these 16th notes, it's not really helping our case and helping us prepare for when we speed it up, right? When we speed it up and play it at tempo, we're going to be using very minimal amounts of bow. So it's not really helpful if we just start and if we're playing very legato and connected. It's not an accurate way to practice this passage, right? So I would recommend playing it slowly, but also keeping in mind the amount of bow that you're going to be using. For example, maybe that same passage, we can do... right? And then naturally, as you're getting higher, you are going to get a little louder, but you can start using also a slightly bit more bow for the crescendo into the forte. Now, this forte section, don't overwork yourself in trying to sound loud, because then you'll run the risk of it getting maybe a little scratchy. Maybe your tone's gonna get a little weird, right? So because you're already being very active, you will naturally already be a little louder. And plus we have a crescendo at 21 and then also at 25. So we then have to crescendo from forte to even louder, right? So we want to give ourselves a little bit of room to grow with these crescendos. So I would suggest when you get to 21, maybe get a little softer, and then that way you have more space. Sometimes the fortes and the crescendos don't always necessarily have to mean we have to get louder, but maybe our softers can get a little softer so that by comparison it sounds louder, if that makes sense. Now, I think personally a good slow speed, because I hadn't played this part or this excerpt until now, so a good slow speed, I personally liked 90, quarter note at 90. I think that would be a very good slow practice tempo to get all these coordinating of the string crossings and the accents and the dynamics. And then once you feel more comfortable with that, then I would suggest doing 105. I think that is good. And then whenever I see a range of tempo markings, for example here it's 120 to 132, I personally always try and aim for a nice middle ground. So in this case I would do 126. Don't feel like you have to play it super fast. Again, it's preferable for you to do a more slow tempo and get it accurate than to attempt it really fast and have it be a little less accurate than what you're used to. So I'm gonna play the excerpt one more time to give you guys a little bit of an idea now that I've given you some of these tips, and you guys can see it all in action. So I hope that this was at least a little helpful, at least a thing or two that you could apply to your practicing and your recordings. So I wish you guys good luck.